Hey everyone, I apologize for the lateness of this video, but I got caught up watching the Connecticut Sun game. They even the series will be headed to a decisive game 5 on Thursday against Washington. So the hype of the game made me forget about the time, but I wanted to go on tonight just to talk really quickly about something that occurred tonight. I actually had the opportunity to crash the BOC meeting. I only went really for the free meal and because I didn't feel like cooking or eating Subway. So I was fortunate enough to go to the BOC meeting. I had to listen to the chairperson of the BOC spiel about a bunch of crap. But anyway, it was definitely worthwhile. One of the things that I picked up from the meeting was we need to get better still as a board. The consensus is our communication is still lacking, and I would have to agree with that. From the young guys to the veterans, we need to communicate better. To me, the communication starts with the pregame. I know the last couple of weeks, because of the Triple E having to start early, having to go from one location to another location, not having enough time for a thorough pregame is definitely an issue. Hopefully, now that the weather starts to flip and get on the colder side, the Triple E threat is now over. We can get back to a normal 90-minute pregame if we can do so. But even still, we should be talking situational football. I see a couple of guys are on now, and I thank you for joining in. But for example, if we were in a crew, and let's say Colin was on in that crew along with Kehoe, Josh, and Materano, if we were doing, Bloomfield versus Plainville, and one of you guys had the team the following week or the week before, I would expect that you guys bring everything that you could to the table about that particular team. We should be sharing our knowledge. We should be sharing the information, things that occurred in that game. Something that I took away from week 3, Wilbur Cross played at Manchester. We asked Coach Roberts, any special plays that you're going to do. We even asked him, if you score a touchdown, are you going to kick one? And he said yes. However, when they scored, they went into that pod formation. So if anybody's had Manchester this season and they scored a touchdown, they go into the pod formation that we discussed a few weeks ago. I believe Daniel Hand ran it against when they were at Wethersfield. And, it's just something that you want to talk about, something that you want to address. Again, we want to talk situational football if you can't have a thorough pregame. But I think, again, it goes back to communication. We need to get better with our communication on the field. Unfortunately, right now, we don't have all of the communication devices. So for some of you officials, if you're in a crew that has the walkie-talkies and you can utilize those, I think it is a good tool, something that we're definitely going to be purchasing next year and kind of going forward. But for right now, we need to get better, again, with our communication with the sidelines, offering that sideline warning. As wing officials, it is our responsibility to deal and address the head coach. Some of the schools, some of the bigger schools will have 5, 6, sometimes 10 assistant coaches on the sideline. In addition to those assistant coaches, there's also just personnel, whether it's a mom with a camera, reporters, people holding clipboards. You don't owe any of those people any explanation, just the head coach. If you find out that those people are in your way, overwhelming you, drop a flag. Remember, it's just a warning. That warning should get the attention of the head coach, who should then shut it down. We shouldn't be dealing with 6 or 7 different assistant coaches when our responsibility and our obligation is only to the head coach. So we have to take better control of the sidelines. And I'm not saying that this is a situation in every game, but it's just a learning tool, something that we can learn from and grow from. Hopefully some of the veterans can offer some feedback to some of the younger officials. Even veteran to veteran, sometimes we forget simple things that we should be doing or better methods that we can go ahead and better control our sidelines. Even in the middle of the field, when we're counting players, the back judges, you get that communication going with the wing officials. It shouldn't just be one guy counting or punching. Start using those verbal commands. Talk to each other. Let the players know that you're a presence on the field. We want to continue to preventive officiate. We're not here to throw flags. And of course, we got to get the ones of safety. We need the big ones. I'm not sure if it was Jeremy's document or the BOC, but there was that communication that we got to get the sharks, those big hits. The minnows, we can let those ones go by, but the ones that we have to get are those hits of safety. It's definitely a big emphasis of the game, and we want to try to clean up the game, but we also want to police the game. That's what we're here to do, not to just throw flags, but we want to make sure that we get the big calls, the major ones. I think if we can get consistent on getting the big flags, I think the coaches will be more happy, and they'll be pleased that we're at least going to be consistent throughout all the crews. And the last thing I want to say is, in crashing that BOC meeting, the upcoming meeting is going to be one of very importance. We're definitely going to, I should say we. The BOC's plan is to definitely break out. I don't want to steal any of their thunder, but we'll definitely send out some communications prior to the meeting just to kind of remind everyone that I believe it's the 15th is the next meeting, 7 p.m. at Two Rivers. We're also asking that all ECOs attend because there will be a breakout session for them as well. So we're approaching the midway point of the season. I believe this is week 5 coming up. Next week is the CCC bye week. So games are very limited. I believe there's only 6 games on Friday, 1 game on Saturday. So the Triple E threat should pretty much be over for most of the towns. I can't speak of the towns that are east of the river, but the fact that we're entering the CCC bye week, by the time we get to week 7, that threat should be gone. So again, I thank everyone for their cooperation as we continue to deal with game changes. All of the games, all of the assignments are all filled for Friday and Saturday. Again, for some of you who have sent me the email letting me know that you're available, I do appreciate that, but games were limited anyway this weekend because this is the Pequot, I believe. Some of the Pequot schools are within their bye week, so not a lot of football being played this weekend, but we do have the benefit of sub-varsity and the fact that some varsity games either went earlier on Friday, and I believe 2 games have switched from Friday to Saturday. So if you can get out and do a sub-varsity game, maybe contact the BOC, and maybe we can do a 4-man game. Just try to get on the field, especially for younger officials. It's a good time that we're slow to get some mentoring going. But again, I'm very positive and pleased at the direction that the board is headed in. Just me speaking to everyone, just from the things that I've seen and heard, I think, again, we need to focus on communication. As I mentioned again, some of the pre-games are shortened. Just try to, again, talk as much football as you can, at least if not a full pregame, situational football. You want to be prepared for those certain game situations that are coming up. Last Friday, I was at South Windsor. The wind was something fierce, and that's one of the things that we talked about in the kicking game. Expect the unexpected. Expect the kicking. The ball gets up in the air. The wind is going to check that ball up, and it's going to kind of be short. And sure enough, we had a couple of kicks that the wind really caught effect. But we were prepared because as the crew, we did discuss that. One thing that we did have in our crew, we had an IW, an inadvertent whistle. But you know what? As a crew, we're all involved in that, whether I blew it or someone else blew the whistle. We all just have to get on the whistle, shut the play down, and just basically come together, get it right, explain to coach, whoever has that option. You have the option of taking the result of the play or replaying the down, unless there's a penalty, and you just move on. Mistakes happen. It's part of the game. It's why we continue to talk. It's why we have the BOC. It's why we have huddle. It's the way that we can learn. And the last thing I want to say is when we're given feedback or taking feedback, guys, I don't think anybody is trying to belittle or shoot down a brother official. So just remember that everyone doesn't always understand the feedback or take the same criticism the way everybody else would. So got to remember that when you're offering constructive criticism, that in the heat of the moment or in the heat of the battle, someone's emotions might still be running hot. To kind of approach that situation at that time, you may want to wait the next day or 24 hours or whatever it might be to offer some words of encouragement or to give that criticism. And again, and as a fellow official who's taken the criticism, you just have to take that with a grain of salt and brush it off and just kind of maybe move on. So we're all here to learn. We're all here to improve. No one is looking to fail because, if one person goes down, the entire crew goes down, whether that's a 3-man crew in a sub-varsity game or a 5 or a 7-man crew in a varsity game. We're all in this together. So I didn't mean to be on so long, but I just wanted to kind of get everybody out there. I'm excited about the upcoming meeting and the curriculum that the BOC has planned for next Tuesday. Hopefully that all ECOs can be in attendance because there's going to be a breakout session for them as well. I apologize for the BOC if I stole any of your thunder. And for the BOC, I appreciate the invite to the meeting and your hospitality. So as we approach the weekend, have a great week, and I will be in touch soon. Thank you.